Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ with March Madness right around the corner. We're talking all things college basketball, and our guy Jerry Palm has put out his latest bracketology. And according to the latest one, these are the projected last four teams in. You got Mississippi State, USC, New Mexico, and West Virginia. And again, Selection Sunday is about 3 weeks away. It is on March 12th. Jerry Palm and Kyle Boone back with us here on CBS Sports HQ. And guys, we've talked about the projected one seeds, the guys that are on the other side of the bracket. Now we got to talk about the projected last four in, first four out. So Jerry, Mississippi State, USC, New Mexico, and West Virginia. Out of all of these teams, which one do you worry about the most?
Well, it's West Virginia because they play in the Big 12, and so far they're not quite up to the schedule that league is providing. They've got Oklahoma State at home. That's the easiest game left of the four on their regular season schedule, and their record is just about not good enough. In fact, they're 3 games below 500 against the top 3 quadrants. If they get in with 3 games below 500 against that group of teams, that would be a record. So, that's pretty bad, but it's the schedule. Their strength of schedule is really high, but whatever your schedule is, you still have to have a good enough record to get selected, and I'm worried about West Virginia being able to do that.
Yeah, to me, at least West Virginia, right? At least they have the opportunities ahead playing in the Big 12 to improve their resume. They're not going to win every game moving forward, but like their opportunities. To me, New Mexico, I think, is the most concerning. If you're talking about most vulnerable team in the last four in, they only have 6 wins in Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2 opportunities. That's fewer than anyone else that fits this mix. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games. Looking at the schedule, I think they could easily lose 3 of their next 4. And then it comes to the conference tournament, and in the Mountain West, to me, it's at San Diego State, and then it's everyone else. Their backs would be against the wall. New Mexico would. So this is a really tough spot. The way that New Mexico has played the last few weeks and their schedule moving forward, it's not great. I think New Mexico is probably in the most danger of going from last four in out of the NCAA tournament.
So from the last four in to the first four out, we got to talk about those teams. Wisconsin, that's one of them. So we have Wisconsin, Penn State, Wake Forest, and UNC. Again, these are the projected first four out in the NCAA tournament, according to Jerry Palm's latest bracketology. So starting off with Wisconsin there, Badgers have not won 2 games in a row since early January. Jerry, we'll start with you. How much of an impact do you think that loss to Rutgers is going to have on their tournament outlook, or has had on their outlook, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a pretty on-brand loss for Wisconsin. They've been terrible on their home floor this year. If you take away Quad 4, they are below 500 on their home court this season, but they're 1 game above 500 on the road. I mean, it's just the weirdest resume, but it hasn't got enough good on it to really make up for the fact that they have not been able to defend their home floor, and they still have to play Purdue on their home floor. So it might actually get worse, but it's really been a tough year. Their net is in the 70s because the net ranking is heavily influenced by scoring margin, and Wisconsin played probably 2/3 of their games within a 10-point margin. So one way or the other. So they don't do well in the metrics either. I don't know that matters so much for selection, but the fact that they can't win on their home floor, it's going to make it very difficult for them to make the NCAA tournament.
And next up on the list, we have Penn State. So they have Ohio State, Rutgers, Northwestern, and Maryland left on their schedule. Even if Penn State wins out in the remaining schedule, do you think that can change anything for them and their outlook going into the tournament, Kyle?
Yeah, they've kind of put their backs against the wall, right? They lost their first 4 games to open the month of February. They've won 2 straight. They beat Minnesota. They beat Ohio State. Those were expected wins. Those are the worst teams in the Big Ten. Their next couple of games here moving forward, I think, is going to be really important for Penn State. 3 of their next 4 are against teams that are projected in the NCAA tournament field. Haven't made the NCAA tournament since 2011. So they're fighting against time. They're fighting against history a little bit. I think the schedule sets up in a way where they're going to have chances in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is really having a strong year where they can play their way into the NCAA tournament field. But the way they started the month of February, it's going to be a tough task for them moving forward. They have some tough tests, but I like the way that Penn State has been playing of late. We'll see if it holds up. win over Ohio State, win over Minnesota. Those are important. You actually have to win those games, but those are not the same quality of competition they'll face in the coming weeks. It's going to be really important how they close out the regular season.
Wake Forest missing a chance at a quad one win against Miami. They're gearing up for NC State this week. Jerry, what kind of team do you think we're going to see in that matchup when they take on the Wolfpack?
Well, it better be a good one because, Wake Forest needs quad one wins. They beat Duke. That's it. That's their only quad one win. They do not have a good record against teams in the top 3 quadrants. So they need wins of all kinds, but especially quad one wins. They need to show this committee that they can play tournament quality basketball. And eventually they need to show that they can do that off their home floor, but you'll take home wins too. You just need to have quality wins, and there aren't many chances for those in the ACC. NC State is one of the better ones, so you got to go out and try and get that one and then see what you can do with the rest of your schedule. But Wake Forest, unlike Penn State, Wake Forest doesn't have the same kinds of opportunities to try and resume build that the Nittany Lions have.
All right, NC State, speaking of them, handing a costly loss to UNC. So based on the Tar Heels' remaining schedule, they got Notre Dame, Virginia, FSU, and Duke. Kyle, do you think if UNC wins out, is that enough to right the ship for them?
They don't deserve it right now, that's for sure. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. They blew a chance to win this weekend against NC State. You look at their resume right now, 0 quadrant 1 wins. They have just not done enough this season to warrant consideration of making the NCAA tournament. Missing chances left and right. They're not playing with a ton of urgency. Now, they could run the table. I'm not going to count them out just yet. They're definitely on the outside looking in. In the ACC, there's not a lot of good opportunities. They get Notre Dame, they get Virginia, they get Florida State and Duke to close the season. I think win 4 of those games, and now we're having a different discussion. But the way that UNC has played of late, there's no real reason for optimism with this Tar Heels team. It seems like they're totally deflated, not playing with a ton of urgency. It feels like North Carolina is going to do the unprecedented, which would be to go from preseason #1 team to missing the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, not often we hear 0 quad 1 wins in UNC in the same breath. That is Jerry Palm and Kyle Boone here with us on CBS Sports HQ talking college basketball as we have Selection Sunday right around the corner and plenty of college hoops action happening for you tonight. Oklahoma State at West Virginia. Keep in mind, West Virginia is among Jerry Palm's last 4 in. Also some ranked on ranked action there. Number 5, Kansas at 22. TCU, the slight favorites. That is at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.